Craig, thank you so much for coming on the episode, my podcast episode today. I've kind of already told them a little bit about you in the intro, but if you don't mind, take just a minute or two here to kind of explain who Craig Jacobson is and what you've done to get here. So,
the only thing I've ever done in my career is marketing. I started, in studying that in graduate school after studying mathematics and economics in undergraduate. And then I studied marketing in grad school, and then I ran marketing for a bunch of big companies for about 20 years. Johnson & Johnson, American Hospital Supply, Hart Hanks, a number of companies serving the Fortune 500 niche. And then somewhere along the line there, I founded my first small business, and then I fell in love with just working in the small business world rather than the big corporate world. Part of that maybe had to do with I didn't like to be on airplanes and staying in hotels all the time when having a young family. And then created my first digital agency about 15 years ago, and then it's about a year and a half ago. No, a year ago that I restarted my digital agency business after a bout with stage 4 throat cancer.
Yep.
So that the restart would probably be most interesting to your audience.
Definitely. So, and I tell you what, I want to talk offline. We were talking about how as men or anybody, in our case, two men, went through life altering medical type scenarios, how it has changes here. So if we have time, maybe we can spend a few minutes on that and just kind of how it has a tendency to kind of put the priorities in life in perspective and all of that fun stuff. So, and I asked you to come on here today because, well, just to put it candidly, you and I met in the Infusionsoft community, 8 years ago? It's been a while, 8 years ago, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Something like that. And pretty much everybody in the Infusionsoft community, whenever they cannot figure something out, okay, whether it be a simple marketing solution or some kind of marketing solution that you actually have to go bribe Craig with dinner or something because you need about 2 hours for him to actually get it. Because it's so, you're like, damn, that's so bad. I would have never thought. Craig has wowed me with the stuff he comes up in marketing for about a decade now. And I know he's done that for the entire Infusionsoft community. I know that he is looked up to in almost like a mentor type facility, type capacity in that entire community. I know he is in other communities as well. And so when it comes to building agencies and when it comes to just getting good advice from someone who's been there and done that and just has such a pedigree in the background, I felt like you were an obvious choice to get on my podcast. So there it is, and then again, Craig is just like I said, one of the best guys you'll ever meet. So if it comes out of his mouth in the intro, Craig, you haven't had a chance to hear it yet, but I say, Craig's one of the guys that I call and listen to when it comes to marketing. So I'm going to strongly suggest that you do the same thing because Craig is that guy.
Oh, nice.
Okay. All right. So, okay.
Very nice.
Yeah, definitely. And so we, and everybody knows, we kind of try to position some questions beforehand to make sure, obviously, we stay on topic and get the right message out there. And the very first question that you put on here was, and I have to admit, I was a little surprised to see this question, but where do you go to get your first client? Because, you and I've been doing this forever. I'm dating. I was 17 years in the digital agency space, and you're right around that same time frame. And so I love the fact that you put this question in there. Where do you go to get your first clients? And I love it. So you and I can spend some time on this, and we'll go from here. So.
Well, let's kind of, to answer that question, let's go back and take a look at how somebody makes a decision to buy anything, buying digital agency services, buying a pair of pants or a car or anything. They're going to go through sort of like understanding they have a problem. And then they're going to learn about different vendors. And so in our case, in digital agency niche, the two things they're going to care about is skill. Do you have a demonstration of skill, and what do people say about you? So how do you develop trust? And skill are probably the key to getting customers. So I think in my medical business and in my agency businesses, I very much focused on demonstrations of skill and things that would establish trust with prospective clients. Actually, even in the restart of my business, I did the same thing. What can you do that will communicate to your ideal customer avatar, show them something that might be of value to them, and then be able to have feedback from a community of people, because nobody believes what you say about yourself.
Yeah,
They only
that's right.
believe what other people say about you. So,
I, I think a lot of that boils down to positioning elements. I would
yeah,
think, so for
that's
example, for example, I just got put all of my positioning elements, by the way, at Get You Wired, they don't seem to carry over in the coaching side, other than the fact that I sold it. That one's a good one, okay? But
yeah.
I had to go out and kind of get new ones, right? So I just got accepted to the Forbes Coaching Council and different things like that. And it's funny you say that, because one of the very first things I did was to go out there and start looking out for positioning elements and building my base. Like one of them was a Facebook group, and it took me a while to get that up. I can't remember, 2,300 people or something in it now. So, but that actually
Yeah.
is a positioning element. People see that, oh wow, Lee has a great Facebook group, that type of stuff. Whenever you build out positioning elements and you start to build out your tribe, it is a game changer. And you just got through saying that skill and trust. I think it all boils down to the psychology of the sale, right? I think that it
It does.
fundamentally every single time, and I don't care what industry. This is past agency.
Yeah.
There are going to be in that. There are just going to be questions, no matter what, that we all want to ask of a purchase of any substance. Meaning, if you're going to buy a stick of bubble gum, you're like, whatever, right? But of
Well,
any substance,
it's harder in an agency because our product is intangible. You're selling something that looks like hope and performance and money in advance, but it's you can't like point at it. I spent this to get that.
yeah.
And so the fact, if you can reduce it to being as tangible as you possibly can, that it reduces their anxiety and makes people feel satisfied with it.
I'm big into productization right now, and I think that's kind of where you're going with that. Is the more you can kind of really define everything they get up front, the expectation levels up front, really get into the minutiae of the details, right, of exactly what they're going to get, and define those expectation levels. It makes a
That's
huge difference. Yeah, it makes a huge
that.
difference in being able to close a product. So.
Well, you're exactly right, because what this is the prep to figure out what your products are, because
Mm-hmm.
your big decision is who is your avatar, your ideal customer,
Yep.
and then what's the problem that they have. So that's sort of like figuring out the who, and then what you're going to do for them is how you create products. And
Yep.
so even in the relaunch of my product, my agency, when I rebuilt Open Spaces Marketing, my business, I brought in a partner, and then I figured out, this trust skill elements, and then I figured out the ideal customer and their problems that they had, and then I created 5 products. So you have to come up with the products, your cross sells, upsells, to be able to maximize lifetime customer
Mm-hmm.
value. It's like, what's the relationship of product A to product B to product C? What's your first offer? What's your second? What's your third? So how do you maximize the relationship? So
Yep. I
that's
actually,
entirely your choice.
and you're funny. You said I'm not just some weirdo with Legos in my office, although I am a little bit weird, and I do have Legos in my office. But the reason they are in here is exactly what you just said. Is now I call it the client path. Some people call it the customer journey. There's about 3 million names out there for, but ultimately, begin with the end in mind. You have a
Yeah,
product that's if somebody's got a headache, give them an aspirin. That's what I always tell my coaching students. So the very first thing we do, niche out your target. We define your avatar. We define your target audience, right? And then
yeah,
we isolate the pain points, meaning if you're going to go after underwater basket weavers, it'd probably help them if they could stay underwater longer. So let's go find them a bigger oxygen tank, whatever it is, right? Whatever that might be. And so we isolate the niche, the avatar. We determine the pain points. And then based around those pain points, we put together your product line. Okay. And typically in that product line, there will be a base, like a 10, 12 kind of, your base website, your whatever that your kind of your base is your base. And then
hmm
the Legos come into play. That's where the real money is, by the way, is in the
all of it.
add-ons. It's all,
Absolutely.
the real money is in the add-ons. You get the website for $3,000. By the time they add on a calendar module, a Google Maps module, whatever, it could be 100 of them, that thing's $18,000, and they're happy to pay for it because they just built out their own very custom Tesla or a website or whatever it might be. And so I like talking to Craig because it helps I'm always filtering my coaching program. Every time I talk to him, I'm like, oh man, am I doing that? Am I doing that? Am I doing that? And so you just made me feel good because that's exactly my program. The step one is niche, pain points, products. It's spot on. So I love it. So
So I've got a couple different entry points, but it turns into that one core product at the beginning. And the lifetime value of my customers right now is about $45,000 a year.
nice,
But
nice.
it looks like it's $500 a month to start. But then they add another thing and another thing and another thing, and pretty soon um, it
Yeah.
gets tasty.
I haven't even, matter of fact, when, if people are listening, I haven't even launched the new brand and the new product line. This is newsworthy stuff here, but I just completely redid my product, my product line. I call it a client path. J. Conrad Levinson taught that to me forever ago.
Sure.
And for whatever reason, it made sense to me. And so my client path is, at the very beginning, you can get a book. You can even get on a membership for like $7 or $47 a month. And that's just if you're kind of kicking tires, right? And as soon as you're ready, you're going to step up to the next level, okay? And that's going to be the $647 a month, or it's like 10 grand for six. The different levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And currently, I'm averaging about 12,500 total life cycle kind of deal there. And I'm obviously expecting to get that up and get my residual up. And through your product line and your client path is how you do that, right?
And
And so I have now optimized it because I had two major gaps in my product line. And by the way, we're getting into product line optimization, of which I know, Craig, you're brilliant at, but this is a big part of it. A lot of people think you just get a widget, you go to market, and you live and die with that widget. That could not be further from the truth. The
no,
market will dictate the outcome. You better listen, okay? And if you listen, which I'm hoping I did right, I now have one. I had something for the freelancer just getting started, and then it went all the way up to like the $1 million agency. I didn't have anything to satisfy and I've now given them names. What's called the successful freelancer,
uh-huh.
the 100,000 to 250,000. Those guys can't afford to do 10 grand for 6 months. You know what I'm saying? That's not where they're at, but they can afford to do some other stuff and move along. And so I've now dialed that in, and I'm excited about it. So I love your product line is going to dictate your success or failure for sure. So
Yeah, but in addition to that, while you're looking at your product line and the journey, you have to have this third eye view on it, which is looking at your business model. What's you're
yeah,
willing to spend to get a customer? What's their initial transaction with you, and what's the lifetime value of the customer?
yeah,
Because marketing only serves the business model. So what you're talking about when you're creating different products and sort of a relationship path or a customer journey from what they're going to buy and what they're going to get through time, and you have to fit that back into, is this good for you? Is this a profitable business model? Or should you be changing your model or changing your products?
yeah. And let me ask you another question. I will say, and I know it get you wired. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, but it probably took golly 6 to 8 years before I actually honed in on the exact product that we really end up crushing it with, right?
Uh-huh.
And so obviously I'm trying to speed it up with this one. I think this one I'm going to have it done in about 2.5 years. But how long does it take to kind of define your product, to get it really kind of optimized and looking sharp? Is there a process or anything like that? Or
Yeah, there is. Pretty much you start down with your assumptions of how you think it's going to go, and then you start to do it. And I would say within about 6 months, you can see if your model is being validated by the
yeah,
marketplace, because the things you want to, how you want to dance and how they want to dance are different
yeah,
frequently. And so you don't know that. It just happens slowly, but it's something you have to kind of keep going back to that point of view. I don't know. I use a lot of sports analogies. It's like you're sitting on the
fire
top
away.
seat,
So do I. So
the top seat of the stadium, looking at what's going on in the game. You have to go look at yourself from that point of view. Is this model still working? Or based on what's going on the field, do I need to morph my model in some way? Like, so you're constantly reassessing. Actually, isn't that true of everything? You're constantly
it really
reassessing
is. Yeah,
everything
yeah. And
because
I
you have assumptions of what they think is going to be interesting. And frankly, I'm wrong most of the time.
So am I. I swear to you. I like to act like I know what I know. What I know is that it's the process. In other words, I don't go into it hoping I'm going to hit a home run on the first go around. So that you learn that through losing money and pain and over time. I guess I'm not quite sure, but this, this the letting the market dictate the outcome is kind of where I'm going with this little segue here. But I kind of redefined my product line, and I was excited to go out there and kind of to get on a couple sales calls and just kind of see how it went, right? And you can almost tell. You can tell usually within the first. It's pretty quick, it doesn't take a year to figure this out. It's usually, 30 days. It depends on how much volume you got and all that fun stuff. But
What takes a while to figure out is, can you fulfill profitably, that you think that this is going to be a profitable behavior?
yeah. Well, and as the market,
you can tell if you get sales success relatively fast, but if you're profitably providing a product or a service, it takes a little while of doing it to figure out were your cost assumptions right.
well, and to that point, in my profit model, it is required that I get on the phone with them and within an hour have them on a program. So the close was called time to close, which is a huge indicator when it comes to selling a company. I'm not going to be selling this one. I just know that it's critical because I don't want to have 40 employees again. So it's got there's a different reason why, but time to close. I've been focusing heavily on time to close, trying to because I can drive the leads, get them on the call, but I don't want to get into some long drawn out follow-up process and things like that because it's just not where I'm at. Okay. Personally. Okay. Again, you can see all this comes. If you notice, Craig and I are always talking about what we want. It's our business. It's what we are doing. Right. But you got to marry that with the market. So you're not going to get everything you want. You're going to get hopefully most of what you want, but it's going to be up to the market no matter what. And so I've had 4 sales calls since I got the product line to the point where I could send them development links. It's not public yet. It's like DEV dot, you know what it is.
Yeah.
Closed all 4 of them in 30 minutes or less. So that's how I'm feeling. That's why I'm feeling good about the new product line. And that'll happen. And you'll see. And now it's up, just like Craig, it's up to me to bring them on board. And with a good product line, you give me 6 months, I'll have 65, 70% profit out of that product line. The first couple months, 30%, 25, it's not going to be bad. 35, 20, I don't know, 25, 30, 35%, depending on the student. But give me time, okay? And I'm telling you, about 6 months from now, it'll be about 65%, 65, 70%.
In about 6 months, you're going to be dialed in on the profitability. You'll figure out the sales process. You'll figure out the fulfillment process.
Yep.
And then you have the big question, do you actually like those customers? Because I frequently found myself in the position that there's a bunch of people that want something that I can do for them, and I don't actually want a relationship with those people. I don't see that as being something that I want to do in life.
Yeah.
So that's then you got to pivot your offer, pivot the fulfillment, and redo it. That's why the real process kind of takes about 3 years to figure out.
That's the truth too. People don't want to hear that out there nowadays, Craig, but I'm so glad you said that. People want the easy button. They want to be able to push the button and they're making whatever they got in their little head. Okay. I'm going to tell you, what's that old saying in business? Most overnight successes take 10 years. I think, is that right? Have you ever heard that before?
I have. Yeah.
Granted, in the digital world, I feel like we can speed that up a little bit. I think that saying goes way back. So I think in the digital world, we can speed it up a little bit. But the point being is there is no substitute. There are no shortcuts. You have to establish you being an influencer, a subject matter expert in your field. You have to get those relationships. They're not going to give them to you. If you think your competitors are just going to introduce you to all their major clients because, hey, you're a nice guy, yeah, good luck with that. Let me know how that turns out, okay? You have to go out there and nurture and harvest these relationships, and that just takes time. And now if you're smart about it, and just like Craig does, he's going to go out there and he's going to go whale hunting. He's going to nurture the right type of relationships. Not just trying to get a one-off sale. He can do that with his eyes closed. He's a pro. He's been doing that forever, okay? And if you focus on the one-off sales, then you have a tendency to get kind of get caught up in a rut. Wouldn't you agree, Craig, if that's all you focus on?
Yeah, it is. And you end up looking 6 months later or a year later and thinking, I don't want to go to work in the morning. I don't like dealing with these people, because you're just so focused on the transaction and being able to, is this something that I can win at? Is this somebody that'll buy something from me? And you have monetary success. And then you're missing sort of the other layer of success in this life.
Wow.
Do you like to do this? Do you just wake up in the morning and can't wait to get at it? And so if you've got sort of like the right clients, that's sort of like the next level that kicks in.
Yeah. And in this particular, I think both of us, through the health issues we had and the successes we had prior to the health issues, I know it. I had the luxury of really soul searching on who I wanted to help. Like you were before we got on this call, we had about a 5 or 10 minute call about how we can kind of go out there and kind of. I've been so blessed, and so is he. We kind of want to give back, right? We want to kind of hand it down to the next guys and girls that are coming up. And so I have to admit, before I ever started this business, I answered that question right there. What type of quality of life did I want? Who do I want to serve? And ultimately what I want out of it, not money. I mean, a lot of people think I'm done. I sold Get You Word and I'm done. That's not how this works. I mean, it cracks me up anytime. Now, if you sell like a Twitter, then you're done. Okay. Or if you sell like like a Tesla, you're done. You can go buy an island, you can go hang out, you're done. But most of the time, one, you get bored. That's what happened to me. I got bored stiff. And then two, I was 40 years old. You're not going to get, it's not going to happen that way. So you want to get back involved. So this time I really took the time just to kind of dive into, I guess, who I wanted to be when I grow up and who I wanted to help with this vast knowledge that I now have. And I think
my first trial at retiring was at 40, but I realized within a year I don't like to play golf every day and tennis every day all the time. I want to get back in the game. And then after my recent cancer, I wanted to get back in the game, and I could again retire, but I don't want to just go hang out, watch the news, and play just tennis and golf all the time. Like that would be a curse. Like
I had no idea.
Being in the game is what you want to do, to use the skills that you really enjoy cultivating. Continue to see, can you create an impact with those skills?
I had no idea that we had that in common. I've retired for the first time at 42. When I sold Get You Word when I was 43, and got divorced when I was 39. Anyway, long story short is I wound up retiring. I pulled myself completely out to where I worked 2 hours a week for about 2.5 years before I actually wound up, the transaction happened, right? And I will never do that again. It's miserable. I will never ever do that again. Like you said, I live on the lake. Well, I can't see it with my front yard, but I live on the lake. It's out that way. And, I enjoy tennis, and I'm not even good at golf, but I love getting out there and hanging out. I did all that, and come to find out, nobody else your age is doing it. Your brain slows down to almost a crawl. I hated it. I will never do it again. I will never completely retire again, ever. Not ever.
I wanted to get back in the game and make an impact in the world.
And that's where I'm at right there, yeah.
Because me playing tennis and me playing golf is not making an impact. I mean, it's fun. I do it. I still do it. I'm not good at either of them, but I certainly enjoy it.
Yeah. That is exactly why I'm here, to move the needle for other people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to really make a difference in their lives. So I love it. We've spent so much time on that. I think we got to get to question number 2. I hope we answered the first one. If not, we got some great content right there. That'll be all right.
Actually, I could say that, the easy thing to do for my digital agency, I brought in 1.7 million in a year in that one. Again, the key for me was productizing, figuring out the problems that people have and what's the language that they have around those problems. And then being able to introduce demonstration of skill and establish trust. And then the sales cycle was relatively simple.
It really is. And you just hit another, every time I talk to you, you say something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I just love chatting with you. But you just got these saying something that I'm constantly coaching my students on. It's about the language, about the messaging and the language. A lot of people get out there and let's say they get into a niche and they're still talking in generic marketing terms. I'm like, no. If you're talking to whatever I'm trying to kind of think, any industry, a plumber or whatever like that, if they use glue or use their language, use the terminology that they use, not the language you use, and you want to make yourself feel smart by use their language. And I'm telling you, the close cycle, it gets so easy. They're like, oh my gosh, you're speaking to me, and you are speaking to them. It's legit. So
that's the big game.
Yeah, it really is.
How do you transmit information which you've learned in marketing terms, and then to be able to talk to it in the analogies and the language that's used in that particular business, because then you're of that tribe, and
yes, exactly,
and they understand it.
And you become an influencer, you start to get asked to speak on stage. It all just kind of starts to snowball. It just kind of starts to build up. Trick
Hmm.
is, and actually I had this call Friday with someone, I'm going to leave his name out of it, but he's been attempting to build an agency for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And you're probably going to chuckle at this, but he got caught up in the info world to where, build the funnel, the build the funnel and, make a billion, save the world kind of mentality, whatever. Honestly, the get rich quick mentality kind of stuff, which you and I both know. You might get 1 out of 1 million that actually hits it and does a good job, but 99% of those are going to fail. And he's kind of in a tough spot. Okay, he had about 6 months of runway, and he put a lot of money into a new funnel kind of opportunity. And he reached out to me, and I've known him for years, and he just wanted to talk. And he's like, "Man, I've been trying all these cutting the corners, like just kind of the easy buttons." And he's like, "It's not going to work, is it?" And I was like, "Man, I hate to tell you this, but no, it's not. It really does boil down to getting those assets in place, those positioning. The Forbes Council at Get You Wired, it was partner of the year for years. I don't even know how many, whatever, for years. And we sold more apps than anybody else. All the different, the Clayton Mask, Scott Martinell videos. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? You talking about positioning elements that really separated Get You Wired? Those two, I mean, come on, and I thought that was a hell of a negotiation to get those two. By the way, that was I'll tell you that one offline one day. That was a pretty good little story. But I focused on that, and I'm doing the same thing here. And so it's a big deal to just go out there and focus on the things that for whatever reason most people don't talk about this stuff. Craig, why it's I guess it's not sexy. I guess it's not the sizzle, it's the steak. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Why do you think that is, Craig? Why is it? How come nobody ever talks about this stuff? This is the real stuff.
Yeah, actually, I talk with my friends about it. I've got a bunch of friends that are highly successful,
Yeah.
multimillionaires in a bunch of areas. And the common thing that we talk about for the young people coming up is they're looking for hacks and short-term
Yeah.
fixes. That's not how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that I know that's gotten rich um, has done it slowly, um, methodically. They have a system, they have a plan, because everybody overestimates what they can do in a short period of time. They underestimate what they can do over grinding over a year or over
Yep.
2 or 3 or 5 years or 10 years. So it's understanding that methodical, that it's not a sprint, it's not
Mm.
shock and awe. There really are very few. I mean, you've probably worked as I have with a bunch of the overnight success people. None of them are rich.
No, they're not.
Every,
It's a facade. 99.99, and I've been hired by a bunch of them. And I'm not, you can do your homework on my past company. You can see we work with a lot of really big names. Craig has as well. We both have worked with some, these are A-list Hollywood stars. You name it. It's all authors. You name it. All of them. I'm telling you, we work with a bunch of them. Some of them are independently wealthy, but their companies are a complete sham. Like it's not there. It's not sustainable. And you almost always see these guys having to reinvent themselves every 3 to 5 years.
yeah.
Okay, and I never have understood that model. And I'll also go as far as to say that if you are out there and you're looking for the quick next hack or the easy button or whatever it is, I am also going to let you know you might get lucky and make a couple $100,000 pretty quick, but nobody's going to 2 years from now. Nobody's going to remember that. You haven't built anything of substance.
Yeah.
So with the way I do it, the way Craig does it, 2 years from now we'll be 10 times stronger than we are right now. Okay. And the way the easy button or the hacks does it, when people see you using these hacks, I'm telling you, they don't respect you in the long run. They just don't. They know that you hacked it.
Yeah, they know, they know,
Nobody
they know, they know you're a complete pretender. You don't know the real
totally
chops.
right. And
The real
I've never
chops is
understood.
discipline. You
It
have to
really is. It
discipline
really
and
is.
skill,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
consistently working at your craft. Because I think the thing that's surprising to me is that people look at me as an expert. I mean, I have done many $0 to $1 million and multi-million-dollar launches of products
Yeah.
and
A
businesses,
lot.
but but I have failed more than anyone you've ever met. I, I,
Oh
I
my
fail.
God. So
I'm
true.
failing. I'm failing right now on so many different campaigns with so many different landing pages.
Yeah.
I find out all the ways that things don't work before I seem to find out how it works. What's really going on here?
I tell my students, I didn't mean to interrupt. There's a little bit of a lag. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Craig, what were you saying?
No, but I think that that's the importance of like adapting and being aware of what's going on and constantly changing and trying to learn from what the experiments are telling you. I don't know if you've I've been really a big enthusiast for a few years now of Ray Dalio. He
I mean, I know
created
the
the
name, but I don't know him. So yeah,
he created the most successful hedge fund in the world. Um,
but nobody
uh,
can. I know this guy, but nobody knows he doesn't exist. Like, is this
oh,
the guy you're talking about? Like, they know they've seen got pictures of him, but no, hardly anybody's ever
no,
really knows the guy, right? Is this the
no,
guy?
no, no. He's done TED Talks. He's all over YouTube right now.
Oh,
If you go
okay,
to his
different
if
guy.
you go to his LinkedIn
My bad.
page, he's got a bunch of free content that describes his process, which actually is beautifully illustrated by a little curly Q line. And he
Uh-huh.
said you have to have audacious goals, very motivated people, and then you as you're making decisions, you write. He's written down all the assumptions that he had when he made decisions for 30 years, kept a diary of the decisions and why he
Wow.
made that decision, and then you observe, you do stuff, you take action based on those theories, and then inevitably it crashes and doesn't work. And so the most important point of in his to his point of view, which actually I think in retrospect is the most important thing in what I've learned, you do those things only to gather the learning of what was
Yeah.
wrong originally, of how you were thinking. So you reflect on the failures, you generalize the principles, and then you act again. And then that curly
Yeah.
Q is where you go forward. And so sort of in the digital world, I have assumptions of who the customer is, what messages they're going to like, what ads are going to work, what landing pages are going to work, which frankly are relatively few, infrequently right. But what you do is you set up measurement, then run some traffic at it, and then observe what really is going on. And then you have to like walk the dog or take a shower or be walking on the beach or something. And then as you're reflecting on what all those failures are telling you, you extract the principles of what's really going on, and then you do a rebuild. And then somewhere around the second or third rebuild, like all of a sudden you've discovered something that works better than anyone can ever imagine. But
Um,
you can't just use the .com hack
no,
that
it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. And my marketing mentor gave me an unbelievably simple formula that visualized that for me. Again, it's a lot of times it's just hearing something that makes sense to you, right? And to the success failure thing, before I tell that story, is everybody asks me like, oh man, how did you get successful? I was like, oh no, I have failed about 1,000,000 times. I want to be successful once. And
that's
building the agency kind of thing, right? And that's the truth. That's the God's honest truth. And
yeah
how I did that is J. Conrad Levinson, having drinks with him one night, told me this little story. I was like, yeah, no, success is this. You throw the marketing campaign out. You got a lot of. He worked for big companies, so they'd have 10 campaigns going at one time. And then he'd go through it and he'd kind of analyze it and he'd keep all the A's, the ones that hit the A's, like just that did good, they achieved the mission. The B's, he'd start to modify. The C's, he'd look at for pieces of the puzzle. You know what? This might work over here. This might work over here, and he'd kind of extract some of the stuff out of the failures. The D's and the F, he'd just get rid of. The point is that it's a process to grade as you're going through to modify, get rid of the stuff that doesn't work, take the stuff that does work, apply it to the other stuff that's working. And to your point, when you do that two, three, this depends, two, three, maybe 4 or 5 times, that is when you hit the home run. That's when you hit the grand slam. But it's not going
yeah
to happen overnight. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight. So,
I describe that to my clients as the first phase is we're going to learn, and then after we've learned, then we're going to earn. But the beginning, you're going to spend money to learn things about how consumers are going to respond, and then you get to earn money, but we don't get to earn until we've been through the learning phase. So I think that many of the clients of these agencies have hired a new agency with all this enthusiasm, onboarded, have these big expectations. This person is really smart. They're very experienced, etc. And then it gets dashed. But then I ask them like, what have you learned from all these failed relationships? And like, I've just learned that this person didn't work, this person didn't work, this person didn't work. I didn't like any of these agencies. None of them have come through for me. But that's the wrong thing to learn. The thing was, did you learn anything about your customers, how they respond? Do you have clean data? Did you set up measurement on it properly so that you can actually reflect on the generalized principles? Because that's where all the value is in the turning the corner, reflecting on the failures, generalizing the principles, seeing what's going on, and then being able to take new action based upon that input. So what did you do with it next?
Yeah,
That's the magic. The
it
magic isn't
really
buying.
is.
Yeah, that's why they buy the done for you paint by numbers stuff doesn't work
It never
ever.
does. Yeah, never does. Never does. I mean, you can get some great tips and some good tools and some good pointers, but it's not going to be the success formula. The easy button, it's not going to happen. So, well,
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time on that question. I think it kind of answered question two as well. So, what should you have known when getting started that you didn't back then and you now know?
Hmm.
I think we kind of just touched on it a little bit. The positioning elements and the avatar and the pain points. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say that probably the thing that would have been valuable to know in getting started. I mean, this doesn't apply to my digital agency business, but it probably applies to as much in my lifestyle, my life experience, um, to things I should have known that I didn't know. In I have not been able to apply it as much in my agency business, but the fact that you should be able to turn every vendor into an advocate for you.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
like everyone that
Referral
you spend
partners.
everyone that you spend money with should become a big advocate of you, and you can completely negotiate all your terms with those providers. You
Yeah,
don't ever just spend money with somebody and just have a transaction. What you want is a relationship that is mutually beneficial for both of you, that's a magnifier for your business. So I
yeah,
learned that in my medical device business. I When my business partner asked me to sit down and show the PowerPoint deck that I was showing to the doctors and our distributors and to our vendors. When I did that, immediately they gave us 60 days free terms on product, and then they started to promote us in places. Like, I had no idea
yeah,
that's a fundamental business philosophy that escaped me in working in corporate America,
yeah,
because in corporate America you mostly had transactions, or sort of the power of the logo of working with this company or that company, but like not the fact that you could actually invest those vendors as referral partners and people that would amplify your business, and actually whatever the stated list price is in anything, that's completely negotiable. They injected $500,000 of liquidity into our business within about 3 months of sitting down systematically with all of our vendors when the sales reps came in, and then showing them what we're doing, and then they getting excited about it and wanting to help us. And when you're
yeah,
small, that would have been nice, because
yeah.
I've felt for years that was something I didn't learn in my in MBA school, in business school, that I should have
But
learned.
get your MBA from Duke or something? Didn't you tell me that one time? Did you get it? Where
Yeah,
did
yeah,
Duke?
MBA
Yeah,
from Duke.
yeah. Which is pretty impressive, by the way. But you're so spot on with that because I didn't. I'm trying to think where I learned that lesson, but referral partner is what I call it. Referral partners, and one of the first things I've done with this business is actually set up a promotional calendar that features my referral partners. And so I'm going to, right now, I've got about 22, 23, 24 of them. By the time I'm done, I'll end up with 12 A+ referral partners, right?
Think of what you did at Get You Wired. You actually
Oh,
were
yeah.
able to take a company that you were selling their product for and turn them into somebody that was advocating, giving you
Oh, yeah.
credibility, and giving you a lot more. But like
Hmm.
that should be the core principle for anybody. Any business that you're using as a vendor should also be sending you referrals and be excited about what you're doing. If they're not, you need to go find different
Yeah.
different companies.
But I would caution you thinking that just because you are working with them, that you're entitled to that.
No.
Because you're not. Okay, you have to earn that, and so at Get You Wired, we had an entire strategy around that. Actually, that was part of our business development process, right? Constantly leaning in to where, for example, Icon, we would go out 3 or 4 days, if not a week earlier, and just go buy all the sales reps dinner. I mean, we'd go hang out, bring them donuts. They cut that out because of us. They wouldn't allow people to do it anymore because of us. I'm sure other people did it too, but I know we were there, and we were always. Are you kidding me? We were recording the sales reps. I mean, we were all about that. The Clayton Mask videos and all that fun stuff. They were, I'm not going to get into exactly how I got them, but there was a situation. Truth is, we could implement Infusionsoft better than Infusionsoft could because we had the infrastructure set up, right?
Yeah.
And there were just situations that popped up where sometimes that became very valuable. Okay, and out of a couple of those situations, I was like, I tell you what, we'll give you a hell of a discount, maybe even free. I can't remember I don't remember all the terms. But when we do this, okay, I'm going to sit down and write down a script, and I want Clayton Mask himself in the professional video studio at Infusionsoft with all the professional cameras and all the lights and everything to sit down, of course, edit the script where he's comfortable with it. He doesn't have to read my exact words. And he did. That's exactly what he did. And that we call that $1 million video because that closed more deals than anything else I could have ever gotten. Having the CEO and both founders doing a testimonial video actually it was for me and Get You Wired, right? That was huge. That was huge for us. It put us on the map in a big way.
So we when we had the $5 million agency, the big company that we did that with was Google. We asked ourselves, how come we're spending, $2 million a year with Google, and what we get is, just being able to use their tool. So we were already sort of a premier partner, with them, and they were able to extend just by us asking and being good at using their pay-per-click platform. We were able to get their employees to do work that otherwise they had no capability of being able to use tools that they have internally. They were willing to fly people at their expense and have meetings in their building with our prospects.
Oh gosh, are you kidding me? You meet with your prospects at Google's headquarters? They might as well bring the check. They might as well just bring the checkbook that day. There's no way they're going to say no to that, right? I mean, no way.
Right.
That is awesome. Okay. Blue pill marketing. I've been waiting on this one. This is the last question. I teased it up. I'm like, okay, I think we've talked about this before. Anyway, this is the Matrix blue pill, red pill thing. Is this right?
This is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to shut up because this is awesome, Craig. You go as long as you want to, and this is so cool. Good.
Okay, well, I learned, original marketing is sort of branding, product management, sort of in the 80s and 90s. And then I learned digital marketing sort of in the 90s and the knots, the 2010 era. And I guess the beginning of the thread that I sort of saw with the world of Infusionsoft was I could actually start to see a specific person and observe their behaviors. So that was like the opening the door into the world of, from marketing automation into the world of what I now consider red pill marketing. So I've turned my back on doing a lot of what was conventional blue pill marketing, where you're dealing with groups of people and because the world before the world was all about getting in front of a large number of people. So the motto in blue pill marketing, I didn't explain this very well. You remember that movie The Matrix when who is it? Lawrence Fishburne.
It's Lawrence Fishburne to
he offers the moment.
Yeah.
You want to go back and see the world the way it was, or do you want to see the world as it is? So the blue pill is seeing the world as you already know of it, or do you want to see the world the way it really is, which is red pill marketing. So red pill marketing understands at its core there is no privacy, and so you use that lack of anonymity in the world to be able to serve specific messages to particular people at particular times. So everything about that is way better than sort of I need to talk to more people. So if the motto in the blue pill is you need more people, I need 100,000 people, 1 million people on a web page, you're already thinking wrong because you're in sort of blue pill mentality. If you're starting a small business or an agency or any small business, what you really want to know is who specifically do you want, what behaviors are they engaging in right now, and what message can you deliver them that would bring them into your orbit. So that's the core of red pill marketing. It's about behaviors, spending money on data enrichment, de-anonymizing who those people are, and delivering specific messages to them.
So I'm just going to attempt to summarize that. And so back in the day, you'd run TV ads, radio ads, all these different things, and you'd carpet bomb an area or a demographic, or you'd get in front of 10 million people or whatever it was. And out of that, you hoped you caught some people that were kind of interested for your stuff at that time. You'd pull down your 1% or whatever it was to hopefully get on the phone or whatever the numbers were. Now, what I think you're saying is that it's better to kind of like a sniper approach, one shot, one kill kind of thing. Okay, you go
Yeah,
research the target audience you want, hyper focused, not really want to be like 100 people or whatever, but hyper focused. These 100 people are a part of this association. They love these kind of sushi and this kind of what, I mean, whatever it is, and you deliver that message. If you're a part of this association and you enjoy sushi on Fridays, of which I know you do, click here. Is that kind of?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So another way of explaining red pill, blue pill is the way that we fought wars, up till World War II, maybe even Vietnam, was we flew over a target and then pushed out a lot of bombs,
A
hoping
lot
that
of
some
them,
of them
yeah.
would hit they would hit a target.
Carpet
So
bombing. Yep.
carpet bombing, and and it's more tons, more bombs, more frequently. If it's all about more. So how do we fight wars today? We
Yeah.
fight wars at night in the rain, and we put a latitude and longitude on a particular destination, and we put a piece of ordnance on it. And what we do in
Mm-hmm.
marketing is the same thing. Figure out where your competitors aren't and be very specific with your message. Because your conversion rates are higher, but you spend more money
Definitely.
doing the research to figure out who they are. So you can actually, that's the revelation
You
is,
know, go ahead.
I created like a year ago, a little over a year ago, uh, a uh, a solar installer company with some partners in Las Vegas. So there were a ton of established competitors. So, what I did is I bought a list of people with houses that were slightly more expensive than average, slightly larger than average, 3,000 square feet, 4 bedroom, 2 bath, and above. Um, I think the market average house value was 250. So I bought $300,000 houses, 3,000 square feet, people who had 2 kids and a pool. So then I
Wow.
delivered them a message, and advertised to those people, got them to come to a landing page, fill the form out, then talk to our sales reps, and we made $470,000 in the second month. So that
Yeah.
we didn't do SEO. We had 3 pages on a WordPress website that were all landing pages. Like we had an about page and a terms and conditions page and a home page, and then just a bunch of landing pages that were talking to different people about specific things that they cared about. So that was an embodiment of just going entirely into red pill marketing, stopping worrying about sort of blue pill stuff. So specific people, specific messages, ad campaigns that drove them into taking an action that we data qualified them, that they had behaviors, or we expected that they had behaviors that they would be interested in having lowering that big electric bill.
So I want to ask you one more follow up question to this, and then we'll probably need to wrap it up. Probably I don't know. I've got to check it out how long we've been going here. So I get I always get asked a lot about this. It's like, man, Lee, going into a niche, man, that's going to limit my opportunities. I can service anybody, and I'm like, I know you can service anybody. That's called the kiss of death. It's yeah, of course, I know you can. Okay, I know you can. But the question is always this, Lee, well, how big does the audience have to be for me to be able to do what I want to do? And I answer it like this. I'm saying, any target audience that has the people who have the money, meaning they hit a certain milestone. Okay, they have enough money and there's a true interest in what you want to do. I say there's probably about what, 2,000, 2,500, somewhere right around that. You can easily build what, about a $3 to $5 million agency out of a target audience that size. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends on the
A lot of
macro.
factors. Yeah, a lot
Depends
of factors.
on
This is a carpet bomb. This is a general
Well,
factor.
it depends on their lifetime value of a customer.
Mm,
That's probably, there's nothing more important than that,
yeah,
because
true.
and their business model. But like, if a customer is worth $50,000 to them, and there's 100 businesses like that in the United States,
Yeah,
you can build a $20 million business out of that. It's
yeah.
what drives your economics is your customer's economics. If they're selling $20 stuff, like, you're also gonna be starving.
Definitely, definitely, no doubt about it. So, but a lot of people have this misconception they have to go big. The target audience has to be the planet. And I'm like, no, that's actually not exactly opposite. It is better to have one single aspirin that solves one super specific kind of headache for 100 people. And you sell that aspirin to those 100 people for as long as they want that aspirin and will pay a fair market price for it. That's how you get rich. That's how you build a successful agency. And so it's interesting though, because, and I know why they're there, because think about it, society, we just got down to this kind of this, what you call the red pill marketing. I think we just got the tools to be able to do this in the last decade, 7 to 10 years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
To really get hyper focused. I mean, it was there before with different publications and associations, but it wasn't as widespread. It wasn't as readily available for everyone. You kind of had to have some inside stuff with some different advertising agencies and things like that. But now it's available to everyone, and hyper focus on your niche. Make sure they have the money for sure, but don't think you have to go service 500,000 people to build a successful agency. That is exactly opposite of the truth. So.
I like smaller agencies. I like smaller businesses with fewer people, higher skills.
Yeah.
I just think they're more profitable.
Yeah.
The more people you have, the more expensive it is. And I don't see productivity improving because, we had 35 people at our other business that was doing $5 million.
Yeah.
Now I got a little business doing $1 million with 3 people.
Mine was a little over 40 plus, I think 42 or 43 employees. And, now I'm I'm in a good spot. You know what I'm saying? I like where I'm at now. You know what I mean? I don't particularly care to go back to having a lot of employees, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not where I'm at. And so, if you focus on the optimization of your deliverables, that is, by the way, how really successful people do it. Okay, I think the best example I can give you is actually Henry Ford. For the first 10, 12 years, maybe 12 to 15 years, he was famous for saying you can have any color Model T you want as long as it's black, right? And everybody's like, why can't I get a different color? Because all he cared about was optimizing that assembly line. And if he would have taken his eye off the ball, he would not be remembered to be Henry Ford that we know today. Because the product he was focused on was the assembly line. Mm-hmm. He was asking Firestone to deliver 5,000 tires a day, whenever before it was the maximum they could do was 50. They just were not, nobody was tooled to handle that. So he focused on optimizing the deliverable, and that's how he got his profit up and served the middle class. So.
He chose his leverage point. For you, your leverage can come from many places, but I don't know if you've ever studied Michael Porter, his work on the 5 forces that influence profitability in business. So it is the cost of other competitors. Are there barriers to entry that keep other competitors from coming in? And then are there alternatives, complementary substitute products or services that could be used? And then the power of the buyers, and then the power of the suppliers. So in that little area is how you've got to navigate your business, sitting among that sort of, like, I describe it as the pumpkin seed.
Yeah. And that little area is the only thing you have true control over too, right?
It is.
Yeah, if I remember right, I've read an example of that, but you can't control these. You can't control this. All you can control is that little centerpiece, and that's exactly kind of what I'm saying.
You get to choose where it is and see what you can do to influence the things that you're sitting in the middle of.
Yeah.
We in digital are sitting among very powerful suppliers. The 5 biggest ones, Apple, Amazon, Google, and Facebook, are all trillion-dollar cap companies, or were recently trillion-dollar cap companies, because they control the buyer data, and then they sell it to us through advertising.
Yeah.
So to the extent that you can use third parties, buy your data on the outside, figure out your customers, your audiences, load them into those things, and then advertise. You make more profit as a small agency than you do just entirely living in their world.
Yep. That's where that mobile ad IDs come in. That's a completely different segment. We don't have time for that today, but that's where a lot of that MAIDs comes in. So, Craig, we're going to have to wrap it up, although I do sincerely believe we could probably sit here and record this thing for the next 4 hours and never run out of stuff to talk about. But anybody out there building an agency, this is going to be one of the must listen to episodes, because this definitely gets the core out there. So, Craig, shameless plug moment. So how do they get in touch with you? Do Open Space is it
Open
openspaces.com?
Spaces Marketing, openspacesmarketing.com. If you go to Open
Yep.
Spaces, that's my pillow company.
Okay.
I
Cool.
own, I
Open
own, I
Spaces.
own, I own multiple businesses.
Oh yeah. Definitely. We're both serial entrepreneurs. So Craig, thank you so much. Is there any parting thoughts, anything you'd like to leave my audience with?
Yeah, I think the most important thing we talked about was the fact that okay, if there's a book to read, it's The Millionaire Next Door.
Okay.
It's the success comes from controlling your expenses, creating value in this world, and systematically over a long time, drip, 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 and accumulating wealth and accumulating skill and power for your agency. And it's a great time to be in the digital marketing space.
Oh yeah. We're about to experience the third gold rush. You know that, right? So it is about to come undone. And our first one being the actual .com, the 2000, right around the 2000. Second one being 2008 with Facebook and all the social media stuff. Third one is about to happen because everybody in the world is saying everybody go digital. It's going to be digital infrastructure, cloud. The brochure website is going to be going away. It's going to be a fully functional, interactive kind of behind the scenes membership portals, accounting, you name it. Everything is going to be in the cloud. So.
I'm going to be curious about how 5G affects it. Relatively easy access, because I think the future is entirely this.
Agreed. No doubt. But all of even this centers around the digital, the hub, right? And it's all, get ready, agency owners. I am telling you right now, the only thing I don't know is exactly when it's going to hit, okay, because of the fears. I think it's going to be actual location based. It's going to be very much up to the individual communities on when it hits. I'm already hearing the buzz. People are already starting to get a few additional responses to the mailing, a couple extra phone calls, maybe an extra messenger or something like that. They're already kind of hearing the buzz. RFPs are starting to fly out the door for a few of them, and the rest of them are getting in the buzz, but it is just getting started. So my best advice is raise your prices 15 to 20%, no matter what, immediately, to make sure you don't back yourself into a corner, cash flow wise, bandwidth wise, stress wise, all of the above. So immediately raise your prices 15, 20%, and you can send the profits to Craig. Craig, thank you so much for coming on my podcast, man. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm glad.
My pleasure.
Been clear and clean bill of health for a year now. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, so glad, man. So glad. The world needs more Craig Jacobsons, that's for sure. So
thanks. Take care.
Be good, Craig. Thanks.
Truly an honor.
Oh, thank you so much. You have a good one. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you get to the next episode. Or you can check us out on Facebook at the Marketing Agency Success GPS Facebook group. It's a private group, so you'll have to ask for enrollment into that. And then, of course, you can check us out on YouTube. Lee Goff, your marketing agency coach. Everyone have a wonderful day.